How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. How to Master the Art of Selling by Tom Hopkins, America's #1 sales trainer for maximum results. From this book, please read. This book is written to show you how to make money in sales and to get more out of life. I encourage you to do more than just read this book. Take notes, use a highlighter pen to mark the book in any manner you see fit, or anything else that makes this book a more effective tool for increasing your income. Audio programs. It is imperative that you try as rapidly as possible to get my techniques into your subconscious mind so they become part of you and come out automatically in your own words. In today's hectic world, many of us don't have the time to read as often as we would like. Because of this, many of the top salespeople we train absorb the material easier by listening to audio recordings while doing other activities. If you have a challenge with making time to read, I heartily suggest you consider our audio training program, How to Master the Art of Selling Anything. It's available in both compact disc and cassette from our home office in Scottsdale, Arizona, or on our website at http://tomhopkins.com/p/1032.html. These programs were recorded in lecture format with a live studio audiences. They cover all the basics of the profession of selling. Topics covered are: 1. The profession called selling. 2. What is a champion? 3. Control with questions. 4. Minor reflexive questions. 5. Emotions, the triggers of selling. 6. How to handle failure and rejection. 7. How to handle failure and rejection. 8. Referral prospecting. 9. Non-referral prospecting. 10. Telephone techniques. 11. Pre-planning your sales presentation. 12. Contact. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 1. How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. 13. Qualification. 14. The Visual Aid Presentation. 15. Presentation Demonstration Tactics. 16. Objections Premise. 17. Objections Solution. 18. Test Closing. 19. Anatomy of a Close. 20. Power Closes of a Champion. 21. Power Closes of a Champion. 22. Turning Little Dollar into Big. 23. Time Planning Organization. 24. Goal Setting Motive. My primary concern in telling you about these audio programs is your success. I know personally how lonely and frustrating the life of a salesperson can be. When I started, I was as much as failure as anyone until I was able to get the proper training to ensure my success. At that time, I swore if ever I could share my success with others, I would do it with high quality and at an investment that anyone could afford. You may feel that I am trying to sell you something, and that is true. We are in the business of selling just like you. However, if you know something is good, you have an obligation to offer it to your client. You will make a small investment for these audios, and that constitutes one sale for us. However, it may mean hundreds of sales in your career and thousands of dollars for you and your loved ones. In this way, I hope that my company can play some part in your continued success. Thank you. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 2. How to Master the Art of Selling. Chapter 4. Creating the Selling Climate. Tom Hopkins. A champion only sells the benefits and features that the prospect he's working with wants to buy. For years, I've monitored this point, and I'm convinced that it's critical to success. Don't sell what you want, sell what they want. It's astonishing how many salespeople only talk about, explain, and try to sell the features of their offering that they like. Oh, I just love the fact that it slices grapes, and the prospect doesn't give a hoot about what you love. You know, I've got this same policy in my own investment portfolio, and the prospects don't see what that has to do with their investment decision because your circumstances are different than theirs. When you step on the gas in this beast, look out. It's gonna ram you back in the seat. It's gonna peel rubber. And the prospect is a conservationist who worries about the high cost of fuel and wants an economy car. The champion doesn't sell benefits before finding out what benefits the prospect wants. The average salesperson plunges into selling benefits from the start, and, inevitably, he has the prospect sitting there thinking, None of this stuff I'm hearing is important to me. Keep that up for a little while and the prospect leaves if he's on your premises, or you do if you're on his. I'd like to be sure that we're together in this area. Who pays for your product or service, you or the buyers? Of course the buyers do. Then we should give them what they want. Doesn't that make sense? We should sell them the features that will give them the benefits they want. How does this fit my teaching that you should make decisions for your clients? Neatly. People want more than they can get. Money is only one of the great limitations that we all have. Time is another. People want their cars to be larger on the inside and smaller on the outside, their meals to be more delicious and less fattening, their investments to have higher return and lower risk. They want it all, but you know they can't have it all, so you have to decide, among your many products and services and their many desires, what specific item will work best for them. In most cases, you can't afford the time to show them everything, and lead them step by step over every square foot of your knowledge to the one item they'll buy. That's not efficient, not professional, not money-making. The purpose of your consultation interview, which might be a few quick questions on the phone to prospects, or a longer face-to-face interview in someone's office, is to diagnose their challenge, and determine what their opportunities are. Following that interview, you decide how to proceed. This process requires that you decide not copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 3 How to master the art of selling Tom Hopkins to discuss a wide variety of possibilities with them that you have the professional expertise to know they won't buy anyway. Part of your service is to save their time as well as your own. Sell the people who can buy. Many salespeople spend endless hours with people who can't say yes. In commercial/industrial/government sales, this is an ever-present problem. Typically, you can't walk in and talk to the person who is in charge. In many cases, you'll be told that no one individual will make the decision you see, that all such decisions are the sole prerogative of the board of directors, trustees, a committee, or whatever. When you're told that, you'll almost always be given to understand that every member of the decision-making group is away and unavailable. In essence, they are unreachable. What you're hearing is the truth, it's just not all the truth. The committee exists. It meets regularly. It can make decisions. All important decisions are approved by it. And its members are, for all practical purposes, unavailable to you. Under the law, or in the bylaws, all the power in that organization is given to that group. However, such unreachable committees rarely exercise any power that's important to you. They have it, but they don't use it because there's too much complexity and too little time. Willingly or not, the directors, trustees, and various boards of this and that have to rely on the nameless gnomes in the backrooms for recommendations that they will likely approve or disapprove. Of course, the gnomes are nameless only in the sense that they don't sign annual reports or get mentioned on cornerstones. But their signatures activate purchase orders. There are few situations in sales that are more complex and easier to botch than the unreachable committee. In no other area will your sensitivity to small clues and the subtle nuances of power be better rewarded. Organizations have purchasing procedures that involve several people, much time, more paperwork, and they all move through clearly defined and tidy channels in complete conformity to law and the dictates of their governing bodies or owners. That's the face the organization shows to the world, and it has the paperwork in its files to prove that everything has been done according to their book. In reality, though, very little is done according to their book, and the real decisions are made outside the tidy channels. The paperwork to justify those decisions is then created after the event. Flexibility is vital in these situations. Rigidity is dangerous to your success. Keep the ideas that follow in mind when you work with the unreachable committee situation, and they'll frequently help you find your way. Follow them blindly and they'll sometimes take you off the road and over the cliff. The gnomes in the back room are insecure, and jealous of the power wielded by the whim of the committee. Make the gnomes feel important. Never let a gnome suspect that your copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. for How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins anything but delighted that you can work with him instead of whoever has the title and the official authority. Have faith in the value and importance of your offering to that organization. You need that faith, but don't let it blind you to the fact that most of the unreachable committee will be too involved with their own pet projects to care very much about yours. Never hint that you'll try and end run around the gnome to the committee unless you're willing to accept the gnome's enmity. Unless you can somehow reach the unreachable committee and sell it on your proposition, you probably need the cooperation of the gnome to close that organization. Keep that in mind from the first moment you think about selling to them. Make sure you're working with the right gnome, not some chairwarmer whose main job is getting rid of the salespeople the right gnome thinks he doesn't want to talk to. There are two kinds of gnomes, those who relish displaying their power by committing themselves, and those who'll never commit themselves. Never try to get an ironclad commitment from a reluctant gnome. It can't be done. If you can't sell the gnome within a reasonable time, and if you think that organization is worth more of your time, try the end run. If you can't find a way to reach somebody on that unreachable committee through friends, political connections, or by direct and persistent pursuit, go over the gnome's head to anyone strong enough to push your proposition past him. You risk making an enemy of the gnome, but what do you have to lose? You've already lost or failed to gain his support. Now you have no way to go but over his or her head. In Chapter 14, I'll show you strategies to overcome the problem of discovering the right person to work with. Bear in mind that difficulties in choosing the right person to sell aren't limited to organizational sales. The same challenge plagues retail and family sales. Let's suppose that you're working with married couple buyers. You're getting along great with one of them, you're reselling that person like crazy, but the reality is that the other half of the couple will give the real yes that makes the decision. Your job is to find out which one of the pair has the power to say yes on your particular sale and then to get that yes without inciting the second person to say no. In retail sales, you'll frequently encounter three kinds of families: single parent, nuclear family, mother, father, and children; extended family, nuclear family plus relatives. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 5 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. Unless you're a member of an extended family or acquainted with one, you may not realize that their influence is still very much with us. The quiet oldster with the young couple may have the keys to the vault and be the real decision maker. Don't sell logic, arouse emotions. Many of us try to sell our products through logic and only through logic. Highlight this: seldom do people buy logically. People buy emotionally, then defend their decisions with logic. Some of us think that many things are bought and sold totally without emotion. For example, who gets excited about pork bellies, cocoa beans, and baled cotton? Speculators do, they're betting heavily that they can outguess the future. Producers do, they worry about oversupply and falling prices. Users do, they worry about undersupply and rising costs. Even in the most unglamorous products and services, fortunes and reputations are being made and lost based on emotion. What about standard shelf items that meet established specifications? A lack of difference between competitive offers means that the emotional factors are very likely to be magnified, not diminished. When awarding orders, the buyer can indulge in favoritism, score settling, or just plain whimsy without fear of creating problems for himself. The role of sales and service in these situations takes on a greater importance and a changed aspect. Catch the change on the move. What is the emotional process that leads to a purchase? It begins with a new development in the buyer's self-image. That is, the buyer sees herself or himself in a new way. If the projected purchase is small, that change need only be small, but if the purchase is a large one in relation to the buyer's income, the change in self-image that makes the purchase possible will be large. Such a change can come about very quickly. It can take place within a few minutes or even within a few seconds. Champions are adept at spotting these changes in self-image as they occur during sales interviews. They are quick to reinforce the buyer's new idea that he or she can have and enjoy, will look good in and be complimented on, deserves, needs, and is worthy of, the marvelous new goodie they like. When you see that hang back eagerness, reinforce their self-image. Do that and they won't just like your product, they'll want it, need it, realize they can't get along without it, and then they'll buy it. A few words of caution are in order here because this is selling's most common and most abused technique. It's automatic in the Oriental bazaar, overused in the boutique, and heard too soon almost everywhere that apparel and accessories are sold at retail. It really looks good on you, they say about everything you try on. Sometimes they'll say that without even glancing at you. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 6 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. It's sad when a fine technique is beaten into a total turnoff by total insincerity and carelessness. Yet, when used right, this is a powerful technique. It requires attention, it requires discipline, but, given that, it delivers the results. Here's how to do it. First, be genuinely interested in doing your best for the client, and show this interest by asking questions that will tell you what they're seeking to accomplish. Rise above the limitations of your own taste and preferences. Recognize that what's right for you isn't right for everyone, and make an intense effort to see the world through your client's eyes. Second, use your expertise to guide the client to the best solution for them that your inventory provides. Third, wait for positive stimulus from the client. When you get it, if you believe they've found something that helps them achieve whatever effect they want, reinforce their image about that purchase. Avoid the worn-out phrases they've heard 1,000 times, stay away from the words they stopped believing years ago. Concentrate on your customer. Say sincere and positive things that reflect your customer's uniqueness, and you'll not only make that sale, you'll create a client who'll send you referrals and buy from you again in the future. The key is to discipline yourself to wait for their positive input. Unless you do that, you'll find yourself bragging about something they don't like and, before you know it, you're caught in a web of obvious insincerity. I had retail sales in mind when I wrote that, but the principles carry over to every kind of sales work because the one constant is that you're selling to people. Machines don't buy much. If you stick to the facts, if you constantly work on your buyers with logic and avoid arousing their emotions positively, what will happen? The mere fact that you're a salesperson will arouse their negative emotions and they'll start fighting you. Your prospects are either emotionally for you, or against you, and you can divide your chances of selling them by 100 if they're against you. At my seminars I ask my audiences to give me emotional reasons that cause people to buy. Things like this will usually be suggested first: they can afford it. It's the right size. Prices are going up. It meets their needs. Most audiences will give me several logical reasons why people should buy before they'll give me a single emotion that will make people buy. This makes me believe that salespeople in general put too much emphasis on fact and too little on emotion. If we weren't the jangling copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 7 How to Master the Art of Selling Tom Hopkins bundle of emotions that we all are, everybody would buy everything based solely on logic, and then wouldn't the world be a dull place? They can afford it? They'll never think about whether they can afford it or not until you get them emotionally involved in wanting it. It's the right size. What does it matter if they don't want it? Prices are going up. Yes, they are, and that's a strong emotional reason for the buyer to hang on to his money and not buy anything he doesn't want. It meets their needs. It may meet what you think they need, but fact remains that they're going to buy what they want. Emotion. That's where it's at. Unless you're arousing positive emotions, they're raising negative emotions and you've lost the sale. Again, I ask, what are the positive buying emotions? At one of my seminars, a bright young woman who's going far as a salesperson said, "Style," and I jumped on it. We all have to wear clothes in our society, don't you agree? That's the logical reason for spending money on clothes. But do any of us buy the cheapest stuff that'll keep us warm, dry, and covered? Certainly not. We buy the style our self-image tells us to buy. We buy emotionally. Another young lady said, "Color." Certainly color is one of the buying emotions. In clothing and home furnishings, it's commonplace for people to want their choice of color more than they want a particular product, and that attitude carries over to some degree on most purchases of things that will be seen. Colors make statements about the people who wear them, drive around in them, and sit among them in their homes and offices. We all have feelings about colors, and we buy the ones we want. I asked for another buying emotion, and a man said, pride of ownership. Of course, I answered. Human beings love to own things. Pride of ownership is, in reality, pride in oneself. This is not only a potent buying emotion, it's also an easy one to arouse. That's what the salesperson does who says, your friends will know you've really arrived when they see you drive up in this car, won't they? Plain transportation is all that we really need on the surface. In the deeper senses, many of us need and want all the status that we can squeeze out of owning an automobile. And we buy what we want if we possibly can. To get a thorough education in the emotions that sell, sit down with your children some Saturday morning and study the commercials on the programs they watch. You'll see advertising that grabs right at the emotions. It goes something like this: copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Ingate How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins' 7-year-old Stevie is sitting there when a commercial plays. On the tube, Johnny Powerful speaks directly to the boy. You want to be like Johnny Powerful, don't you? Then have mommy get Ookie Gookies for you. You need Ookie Gookies to be like Johnny Powerful, and he flexes his muscles. That happens over and over on every show. Now here's little Stevie walking along a supermarket's aisle with his mother, and Stevie is looking around for something interesting. Suddenly he sees Ookie Gookies. Stevie doesn't say, let's look at the ingredients listed on the box before we decide to buy it. Alright, thiamine, riboflavin, niacin. Hey, it's loaded with exactly the stuff we need more of. Little Stevie doesn't do that, does he? He sees Ookie Gookies and Big Johnny Powerful flexing his muscles at the same time. So little Stevie yells, Mom, I need Ookie Gookies. Stevie was sold, not logically, but emotionally. Logic in sales is a gun without a trigger. You can twirl it all you care to, but you can't fire it. Emotion is another gun in sales, and this one has a trigger. You can hit the target with it. Every time you generate another positive emotion, you're pulling the trigger on another accurate shot at closing the sale. Let's list the most widespread, effective, and powerful buying emotions. Color and style, pride of ownership, vanity, security, prestige and status, ambition, employment, change, peer pressure, keeping up with the Joneses, self-improvement, health, love of family, family getting larger, family getting smaller. No skill that you can acquire in sales will enhance your earning power more than learning how to arouse these emotions in your buyers in ways that are positive to the sale you're seeking. The exact word that you use will depend on your offering, your personality, your buyers, and copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 9 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins Market Conditions. Study each of the selling emotions given above and develop a list of emotion-evoking questions you can ask your buyers. If you're selling luxury cars, you should be able to come up with several approaches for several of the buying emotions. But, if you sell plastic pipe to landscape contractors, you'll have difficulty coming up with useful emotion evokers on anything except security. You see that new bauble, that new knee tyranny. There's no reason you to have it other than the fact that all of a sudden you want it. Then you emotionally come up with reasons, urgent reasons, for getting it. But do those reasons explain why you want it? Certainly not. Their function is to prove that you need it to your own satisfaction, at least. And it's amazing how fast you'll do this if the new goodie is good enough. Put this item among your keynotes, and review it often. Positive emotions trigger sales, negative emotions destroy sales. As you work at developing the skill to evoke emotions in your customers, always keep that concept in your mind. You can destroy sales as rapidly as you can create them through the clumsy use of, or the lack of control over, the emotional setting. And also remember that your actions and manners, your words, and how you say them, and your grooming and clothes are all things that trigger emotions in your prospects whether you want them to or not. People will react emotionally to you. I'm not being facetious when I say that it's important not to have them react with fear, anger, or disgust. To see some salespeople approach prospects as though these potential buyers had just fallen off the turnip truck, you'd swear that they don't realize that prospects have feelings too. Prospects suffer the effects of fear when a salesperson comes on too strong, prospects get angry when a salesperson patronizes them, prospects feel disgust when a salesperson is non-professional in any way. Let me give you an example. Picture yourself walking into a showroom with your spouse. The salesperson on duty meets you. "Hi, I'm Pat Swifty. Nice of you to come in, sir." "Hello, nice of you to join in, ma'am. You are husband and wife? Good-looking couple. How are you today?" If a stranger opened up on you like that, would you feel a touch of fear, anger, and disgust? Oh, this crocodile is out to get us. What business of his is it whether or not we're married? And who needs his phony compliments? Your sales interviews don't need any more fear. Your chances of success won't be improved by an injection of anger. Your prospects can't be closed if they're feeling contemptuous or disgusted. I'm leading you through dangerous territory right now. On the one hand, it's vital that you be keenly aware of how easily negative feelings can be aroused, and of how hazardous they are to your sales hopes. On the other hand, it's equally vital that you not become tense about it, or your tension will impact negatively on your prospects and destroy your chances of closing them. The solution to this is to understand it. With understanding, you can make the right moves. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 10 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. Work with the odds always on your side, and close on positive feelings rather than be defeated by negative feelings that you've aroused. Everything you say to prospects creates images in their minds. That is, if you use words they understand, and if your prospects are listening and hear what you're saying, considerations that many of us aren't as concerned with as we should be, then your words will create images in their minds. Since life is complicated and varied, those images will be complicated and varied. Enormously so. But we're looking at this wide variety of images from the single viewpoint of closing the sale, and that makes matters simple. Every image that our words create in the minds of our prospects either helps or hurts our chances of selling that person. By this standard, all images are either positive to the sale, or they are negative to it. Let's explore the relative strength of negative and positive images. Are they very nearly equal in power? That is, will 10 negative images balance out 10 positive images and leave you still in there swinging? Or will a single positive image offset 5 or 10 negative images? The truth is, one negative can wipe out many positives. If you're satisfied you can spray all the negatives on prospects that you care to because you're smarter than they are, and if you're sure you can always save the sale by pouring on more positives when the mood strikes you, think about the dry forest that's destroyed by a single lighted cigarette thrown from a car. The power of the negative is enormous. The champion doesn't fool around with it. Making just one thoughtless comment to a prospect can destroy your chances of selling him or her. As I stated earlier, this is dangerous territory, but it's ground you have to cover every time you work with prospective buyers. Understand the challenge. When you're working with strangers, you can't know where their sensitive spots are, and if you try to guess, you'll guess wrong more often than you'll guess right. So play the odds. Greet them with a pleasant but unforced smile and a soft attitude. Don't pay them compliments, don't ask them personal questions, don't welcome them with a boot-licking manner. Look again at the imaginary Pat Swifty's words a few paragraphs back. Did it shock you when I said that those words aroused fear, anger, and disgust? Pat would claim he was just trying to be nice. Not honest, maybe just nice. But what did his words and manner convey to the couple who walked into his showroom? His action told them very clearly that he thought they were suckers for a fawning compliment and a false smile. They were smart enough to instantly grasp how he really felt. Most people are that smart. They may not think it all out. They don't have to, logic plays no part in this and the emotions work fast. You lose all chance of selling a person by meeting them with negative images. Before you realize what you've done, that person is gone, and you won't ever get a chance to repair the damage. In fact, with most people in most sales situations, there's only a slim possibility that this kind of damage can be repaired once it's done. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 11 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. Play the odds. Always be professional when meeting new people. Do that and you'll close more sales. The champion realizes that he must eliminate the fears his prospects brought with them without introducing new fears. He must arouse positive emotions without arousing negative emotions. Finally, he must provide the logic that will back up his buyer's emotional decision to buy from him. The champion knows that he'll never get to that last phase unless he creates positive images that will triumph over the negatives. One way to make that happen is to avoid the rejection words. Many of us don't realize how often we destroy sales by using certain words that ignite fear in the minds of our prospects. Learn how to inspire confidence instead of anxiety when you talk to buyers. Replace rejection words with go-ahead terms. Hundreds of thousands of salespeople don't know about rejection words, and this is far worse. They know, but they keep on using them to drive dollars from their pockets. Let's define what we're talking about. A rejection word is any term that triggers fear, or reminds prospects that you are trying to sell them. When prospects hear rejection words, their responses often run something like this: "Oh, no, I'm just looking. We're in no hurry. We're just killing time." If you're deeper into the selling sequence when you let a rejection word slip out, your prospects will say things like, "We'll let you know. We'll sleep on it. We're just gathering information now. We'll call you when we're ready." Rejection words work well. They let you scare your prospects so much that most of them will reject you and your proposition. If you're using rejection words, you don't need enemies. You've got yourself. Here's a horrible handful of these words and what to replace them with: cost or price. Every time one of your prospects hears you give value information in these ways, the price is $99,000, or, it costs $85, they know what's coming. You're going to put the pressure on, push them for a decision, try to sell them. That's why the pro calls it total investment or total amount. What do you do when you invest? You put money to work in ways that will bring income or other benefits back to you, isn't that right? Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 12 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. What do you do when you pay a price or pick up a cost? You spend money, don't you? You pay for dead horses and white elephants, incur expenses, run up bills, and shovel money out that you'll never see again. The professional's favorite term here is total investment. But, like any other word or technique, it can be overused. Here are several alternatives that'll allow you to banish cost and price from your selling vocabulary forever. Value, valued at. Available for, available at. Offered for, offered at. Worth. To avoid confusion and questions you don't want, use these alternatives with care. If you say, "This model is worth $975, your prospect may be inspired to reply, "Okay, but how much less can I buy it for?" How you get around this depends on your selling procedures. If Y quote prices from a printed list and your customer knows that your company has a one-price policy that eliminates bargaining, you can glance at T list and say any of these things: "That model is worth $975. We show $975 for that model. That one is valued at $975. It's available for $975. We offer it at $975. Write out exactly how you'll use these terms and role-play the situations you usually encounter when prices are discussed. If you think this is too much trouble, you think being professional is too much trouble. In that case, What are your chances of earning a professional income? List price, listed at. These two terms are taboo except in resale situations where there's a retail list price and a lower wholesale price. To everyone else in our discount-happy society, if you say list price or listed at, they'll think you're telling them to ask for a price cut. Talking about list price and saying listed at is even more destructive if you've made it clear that your prices are firm. In this case, every time you say these nasty words, you remind your listener copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 13 How to Master the Art of Selling Tom Hopkins that he'd better check your competition before ordering from you because they might give him a discount. Use the same go-ahead terms to avoid list price and listed at that you use to avoid saying price and cost. Down payment. If you're looking for a term that will strike fear into every prospect's heart, down payment is a splendid choice. But, if you'd rather reduce fear than increase it, talk like a professional. The correct term is, initial investment. Monthly payment. Here's another term that's extremely effective at doing exactly what you don't want to do, which is to magnify fear in your prospects. Most people are petrified of monthly payments. They have enough already. When you see those two words, what flashes through your mind? All your bills. You see yourself looking at the pile of paper that eats up your paycheck every month. Dang it all, I'm sick and tired of that payment. I wish it was over with. Never should have bought the fool thing in the first place. Monthly payment is a bookkeeper's term, and it's a favorite with bill collectors. Professional salespeople say, monthly investment. Contract. When most people hear the word contract, what clicks in their minds? Lawsuits. Courtrooms. Judges deciding their fate. Attorneys sending them bills. Deep trouble. The champion doesn't call it a contract. He calls it, the agreement or the paperwork. Rejection words aren't unusual terms that you might only use once a month or so, are they? I've been attacking your everyday vocabulary, haven't I? Now I'm going to take a shot at an even more basic word. Buy. Please realize that no one wants to buy, they just want to own. Some salespeople plaster their presentations with sayings that go something like this: once you buy from us, we can sure get it to you fast. When you buy our product, you'll be happy with it. The people who buy from me get terrific service. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 14 How to Master the Art of Selling Tom Hopkins. What does the prospect feel when those words hit him? If I buy it, I too have to spend money, and I don't want to spend any money. All I want to do is have it. What I'm looking for is more benefits and less trouble. Professionals know that people want to own things, so they frequently talk about owning. Buying is the pain, owning is the pleasure. So eliminate buy and go with own. Let's rewrite the three sentences quoted above to replace their buying pain with selling power. If you decide to own it, we can get it to you fast. When you own our product, you'll be happy with it. When you own one of our models through me, you also own a piece of me because I feel very strongly about giving top-notch service to my clients. The desire to own is a deep-seated urge. It's a compelling force that's too important to let your use of it depend on what you'll snatch from the charged air of a sales interview by chance. The professional plans and practices exactly how he or she will tie the image of owning directly to every strong selling point that's available. This means that the champion sits down and writes out the sentences that will accomplish this aim smoothly by repeating only the idea of ownership while varying all the other elements. What you don't want to sing-song is, when you own our product, you'll be happy with its exclusive crossover feature. When you own our product, you'll be happy with our service. When you own our product, you'll be happy with its durability. Design a set of ownership image builders that will allow you to continually reinforce this potent buying force without continually reminding your prospects that your purpose is to sell them. It won't take long to write out the sentences that will keep your technique from being too obvious. In a few minutes, you can drill yourself on those selling sentences until they're second nature. But, however long it might take you, Doing so will put more money in your bank account than bantering with the other salespeople around the coffee urn. Here are 7 more ownership image builders to add to the 3 recommended above as having selling power. This crossover feature is exclusive with our company, and it's built into all our models. So, when you pick the one you want to own, you can be sure that you'll be taking a crossover home with you. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 15 How to Master the Art of Selling Tom Hopkins. All of us here are proud of our company's reputation for service. It's as important to us as it is to our owners, and, when you're one of them, I know that you'll be delighted with the way we carry out our concept of total commitment to the service needs of our owners. Since the profitability of your operation depends on one machine, durability is vital, isn't it? When you own one of our workhorses and are depending on it, durability is just one of its qualities that you're going to be very pleased with. I hope to show you a product today that will greatly enhance your opportunities when you own it. When you own it, you can add, for higher profits, or any other sales point that you want to emphasize with this wording. When you find the model you'd like to own, and I'm confident that we have it in stock here right now, you're going to be delighted at how low the initial investment is. Tailor it to your product or service. When you find the model you'd like to own, you're going to be delighted with our warranty. If you sell a service, you might cast the sentence in this form: when you choose the service you want to own, you'll be delighted with how much costly managerial time you'll free up for other, more important duties. Every worthwhile sales point that you can make about your offering can be welded to an image of owning. If you can't make the connection between the benefit and the joy of owning, either that point isn't important enough to mention, or you're not enthusiastic enough about your product or service. In some cases, of course, you'll have to connect in a negative way. If you own our security system, you won't have to worry about maximize your selling power. Tie your strongest sales points to the basic and very human love of owning. Of course, you won't slam those sayings at them one right after another. You'll sprinkle your ownership image builders throughout each of your sales interviews, incorporating them smoothly into other aspects of your selling sequence. I'm reminding you again of the dangers that are involved when you overuse any technique and allow your prospects to notice it. Every time that happens, they're tempted to pit their sales resistance against your sales skill, and whenever it's fun for your prospects to fight you, you'll lose. You can help camouflage the ownership image building technique by reserving the strongest word "own" for your strongest sales points. For less important points, you can substitute one of the words or phrases given below in italics. When you find the design you want to put in your living room, and I'm positive we have it in our huge inventory right now, you're going to be impressed with our wide range of finishes. When it belongs to you, you're going to be tickled pink with the way it impresses people. When you have this pattern on your walls, you'll be delighted with the aura it imparts to your home. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 16 How to Master the Art of Selling Tom Hopkins. After you've installed this model in your office, you'll be very pleased with how much time it'll save you. If you make this service yours, you'll be very satisfied with the performance improvement in your shipping department. If you choose our service, you'll find that you've added an important asset to your company's net worth. When you put this beauty in your garage, as soon as you take this model home, when you acquire this service, all your worries about breakdowns will be over. When you've got our service on your side, you can count on. When it's yours, you'll know your problems with overload are a thing of the past. When you have our staff on your team but not on your payroll, you'll be amazed at the credit you'll get for saving your company money. This selling method for fee-basis service is easily adapted to many products. Just substitute the name of your cost-efficient machine for staff. The last technique given above aims two separate emotional appeals at salaried people working for companies they obviously don't own. The second of the two is the most powerful because it speaks to the most important emotion driving the salaried person. This emotion is expressed by a question that's in their minds every hour they work: how can I increase my prestige, security, and power? Its name is ambition. On the gut level, this comes out as, what's in it for me? I'm not speaking of bribery. Few buyers for organizations are on the take, and nothing is more disastrous than offering a bribe where none is wanted. You're on your own if you're willing to carry the bag, because I'm convinced that no job is worth the ignominy of having to give bribes to hold it. There are some things in this life that you should never tamper with, and one of the foremost of these is your own integrity. But most executives, officials, and other buyers, though honest, are driven by ambition, by this "what's in it for me?" emotion. Why should they approve the purchase of your product or service today instead of referring your proposal to a committee, taking it under advisement, or zapping the whole thing into file 13 as soon as you're out their door? Because there's something for them in your offering by way of company benefits they can gain some glory by ordering. Develop the ability to tie the purchase of your offering to your buyer's personal advancement, and you'll be amazed at how many more sales you'll close. All that's required is sensitivity, subtlety, and effort. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 17 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. Important as this is, don't overlook the power of the other emotional appeal in the sentence last quoted. It's vital to remember that most buyers respond strongly to properly worded owner image builders even though they don't own the company or organization they're buying for. This fact has its roots in a sort of tribal instinct. To some degree, everyone who works for an organization feels this pull of the group, this loyalty, this sense of it's us against them. Us is everyone who works here, them is the rest of the world. There's the elementary force holding every group together that's going to survive for long, whether it's a family, a company, or any other organization. The higher in rank that people are, the stronger this feeling is. Since anyone who buys for an organization has some status, you can be sure that they'll respond to owner image builders because they feel a strong loyalty to the group even though they may complain to you about their job. Sell or sold. It's not likely that anyone will fix a happy smile on you and say, "Wait till you see what a salesman sold me today." No, you'll never hear that spoken in earnest, though you frequently will hear, "Wait till you see what I bought today." On the emotional level, bought is more than the past tense of buy, it's the present tense of own. Buying is dieting, owning is being slim. Describing what one just bought is a sneaky but safe way to boast of what one owns because, though bragging about possessions is frowned on, it's socially acceptable to get wildly enthusiastic over a new acquisition. And people love to do it. In fact, this is an important emotional need that buyers are always seeking to satisfy, though few of them realize it and even fewer would admit it. If your product or service is right for this technique, almost all are. Do the homework that's necessary to fold this zinger into your selling sequence. It's a powerhouse. When people talk about what I bought today, they're really saying, "Wait till you see the new status razor that I own as of today." They've done something. Now they want everyone to admire their wisdom, style, and power, and they won't willingly share the glory with the salesperson who closed them. Why? Because they don't want to admit that anything entered into the choice except their own desires and decisions. Keep this firmly in mind whenever you speak with anyone known personally to one of your buyers. Avoid saying things like, "I sold it to him." When you say, "I sold," you're the hotshot who pulled the buyer off the street and pushed him into signing on the line you had to check in red so he could find it. This is poaching on the buyer's territory. Take all your glory from the people on your end, and let the buyer have all the glory on his end. Some salespeople will tell prospects, "You're probably wondering who else has our service. Well, I'd like you to know that last week I sold our service to the Martunian family right down the street." What does that make them think? You might have sold the Martunians, but you ain't selling me, Buster. They're fighting you because they don't want you to do anything to them. If anything is done, they want to be the ones to do it. Sell has a similar effect. The word throws an image of slick fellers in flashy shoes talking people out of their money. A professional never sells anyone anything. He gets people happily involved. You can get different people happily involved all day long, but if you hit the same copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, In 18 How to Master the Art of Selling Tom Hopkins person with that phrase over and over, you'll raise welts. Eliminate sell and sold by playing variations on these themes, happily involve, acquired, bought, ordered, purchased, through me. Help obtain. Counsel or consult. Worked with me on the arrangements aid, or assist, the buyer by eliminating difficulties, providing expertise, or supplying, vital, necessary, useful, information. Had the honor, privilege, pleasure, challenge, of acting as agent, representative, or intermediary. Develop the opportunity. Worked out the details. Avoid sounding pompous or flippant by matching what you say to your type of sale. I had the privilege of consulting on that acquisition, is laughable if you're selling unpainted furniture at the discount store, but not if you sold the store. If you say that you helped with the details on a multi-million-dollar purchase, people may think you're a clerk. Let's put a few of these phrases to work to highlight how they can smooth your daily performance. You're probably wondering if anyone nearby has our service. Do you know the Martunian family right down the street? Fine. They are happily involved with our Plan 6. I know because they worked with me on the arrangements. Would you like to give them a call right now and confirm how they're enjoying our service? To a new plant manager at one of your old accounts, Mr. Klein, this is Frank Macy at Lift Trucks for Less. Your company acquired a gruntless marvel through me 2 years ago. I'm calling to see if it's still doing a top job for you. To a referral calling you for the first time, yes, I had the privilege of developing a fine opportunity for Mr. Raish last month. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 19 How to Master the Art of Selling Tom Hopkins. Compare those statements to, yeah, I sold it to him. Then practice the phrases that will make the most money for you because they build confidence rather than fear and antagonism. Customer. Let's go back to the Martunian family for a moment. Now that they have gotten happily involved with our product, are they now our customers? No. Don't use the word customer. This one isn't quite as critical as some of the other negative words we're covering, but you can make something more positive out of it. Don't call your existing clients customers, call them clients, people we serve, families we serve now. The image you've put forth is one of being involved with flesh and blood people, not a list of obscure names on a sales report. We have so many families we serve right here in the local community. The Smiths are one of the families we have been fortunate to serve with our fine product. Feel the difference? So will they. Prospect. Along the same lines, don't refer to the people you hope to involve in your product next as prospects. They are potential clients, future clients. By envisioning them in your mind's eye as future clients, you'll find yourself treating them as clients even before they have the opportunity to acquire your product. It will be different than if you think of them as one of many prospects who either buy or move on. It will make a difference in the number of people who do purchase from you and or refer others your way. Commission. At some point in time, you are bound to talk with a potential client who will blatantly refer to the money you make on the sale of your product or service. They might even ask, how much do you make on one of these? Rather than get into a discussion about markup, say these words, John, our company does have a fee built into all of our transactions. However, I can assure you the service you will receive over the years from our firm will far outweigh any fee. And that's what you really want, isn't it? Your goal is to change their thinking from that of you earning a commission to the value of them paying a fee-for-service problem. Right now, stop thinking of anything that comes your way that might stall or prevent a sale from happening as a problem. Problems bring things to a halt. Problems negatively impact relationships. Problems are terrible. From now on, look at anything that slows down the sales process as a challenge. They give you an objection and you warmly say, other clients of ours had that same challenge and we were able to find a satisfactory solution that truly met their needs. Or, it's my goal to see that there aren't any challenges as we proceed with the details of this agreement. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 20 How to Master the Art of Selling Tom Hopkins. Besides projecting a more positive image to the client, the word challenge helps you feel better. You're not being stopped by a brick wall problem. That wall is now seen as a challenge to break through or hurdle over. Objection or objections. If someone you're talking with gives you an objection, be happy. You're probably thinking I'm nuts right now, but I'm not. Very few people will waste their time objecting to something they aren't feeling motivated to own. In other words, if they object, they're starting to want it and are a bit afraid of making the decision, so will try to slow things down. Like the difference between problem and challenge, you'll now start referring to objections as concerns. Areas of concern. John, I can appreciate that concern. Then, you would address the issue, calm his fears and move toward the final decision. Cheaper. Please never tell anyone that your product is cheaper than that of your competition. What comes to your mind when you hear that word? I see something that's of less value, perhaps poor quality. Even though people want to pay the least amount possible for things, they still want the highest quality possible. So, if your product is less expensive than that of your competition, tell them it's more economical. Economy is a good thing in the mind of most people. They seek it out and feel good about acquiring something in an economical manner. Pitches and deals. The profession of selling has been my life for nearly 4 decades. I love it. But I don't love hearing about pitches and deals. Some people in our profession insist on projecting the worst stereotype ever hung on us, that of the cold smiler who thinks like a shark, talks like a carnival barker, and struts around making pitches and deals. Yeah, I gotta go out on another pitch tonight. Let me give you the pitch on this terrific little number. After you hear my pitch, you'll know I've got the best deal in town. When you choose to express yourself with negative terms, you put yourself down. What you say decides how you feel about yourself. Let's not make pitches. Be eager to have your people hear your presentation or watch your demonstration. And don't offer them deals. If you do, you'll focus their attention on price. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 21 How to Master the Art of Selling Tom Hopkins, and you'll raise expectations that you'll have to beat down later if you can to make the sale. Invite people to hear the presentation I've developed for your company. Participate in the demonstration. Get involved in the wonderful opportunity we have for you. Consider this interesting transaction. If you don't believe that words create mental images, arouse emotions, and cause things to happen, sales is the wrong line of work for you. Pitch and deal are verbal garbage, and slinging them not only casts powerful images into the minds of those who hear you, it also reinforces old images, precisely where they'll do the most damage in your own mind. How you feel about what you do determines much of how you feel about yourself. How you feel about yourself is the image that determines how effectively you will work. How effectively you work determines how much you will earn. Stop talking about pitches and deals. Start asking people to hear your presentation, watch your demonstration, and consider the opportunity that you're offering. In other words, start showing respect instead of contempt for your work and the prospects you work with. Make that change and you'll make more money. To achieve change, you have to ban those 2 words from your thoughts, from all conversations no matter how casual, and especially from your talk with other salespeople. The last will be the hardest, but your new attitude will make clear to your associates that you're in the business of succeeding, not failing. That will push you toward the winners and away from the losers, something that's always a good move. Here's my suggestion. It's a simple one. The very blood of sales is the power that words have to create favorable mental images. Use that power. Take a few moments now to form 3 positive images in this manner. Relax, close your eyes, and picture yourself dressed and groomed to your business ideal. Then imagine that you're 1. Giving a smooth presentation, 2. Conducting a well-organized demonstration, and 3. Offering your wonderful opportunity to people who want, need, and can afford it. Make all these positive images bright and specific in your mind, and name them presentation, demonstration, and opportunity. Whenever you hear or think, of course you'll never say, pitch or deal. Immediately throw that image out of your mind and replace it with the proper positive image. Now I'm giving this terrifically effective presentation. Here's me laying on my polished demonstration. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 22 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. What a beautiful opportunity I have for these people. This method can be applied to a wide variety of negatives. Take charge. Use the good to drive out the bad. But it won't happen overnight. Give it a month. If you say one of the words, or even think of one without instantly replacing that negative image with a positive one, start over. Stick with it until you've controlled the images for 30 consecutive days. Then count how much money your deliberate use of positive images has made for you. Sign. Our last rejection word is the nastiest of all because it sinks your boat so near home you can smell the biscuits baking and hear your old dog snore. For the salespeople who constantly hit the cold water because of this word, the worst part is that they never figure out what keeps knocking their planks loose. The trouble starts without warning when you've sailed right up to your big close and dropped anchor. You've covered everything. It's gone well. You've finished filling out the agreement your prospect must approve if the sale is to go through, and now you get excited. But you conceal your excitement, turn the agreement around, and slide it across the desk to him. There we are. Now, just sign right here and we'll get the wheels turning for you right away. Suddenly your prospect's smile loses truth. He stares at the agreement for a moment. Then he clears his throat and mumbles, yeah, well, my daddy always told me to read the fine print before signing anything. The trouble is, that's exactly what his daddy and his grandmother, his attorney, and his wife did tell him. So when you say sign here, you trigger an automatic defensive response that makes him think, if I'm not careful, I'll nail my fanny to the barn door with a ballpoint pen. Well, that's not going to happen, because I'm not signing anybody's one-sided company contract before I scrutinize every dot in it. And that's just what he proceeds to do. One of the first provisions reminds him of a tax angle to check out, and then he spots something he wants to talk to his attorney about, and all at once there's no chance he'll okay the paperwork during this meeting with you. You follow it up energetically, of course. But things happen that you can't control. To begin with, his attorney is on vacation. The day she gets back, you're far away working the year's most important trade show. Before you're through explaining to and negotiating with his advisors, there's a new development. Something happens in the economy, your price goes up drastically, or a new trend shakes his industry, and now the emotional climate is wrong. Delay and change have robbed your opportunity for the buyer of all its freshness and excitement, and suddenly it doesn't look opportune to him anymore. Then it's time to say goodbye to the sale that would have been yours if you hadn't said sign here several weeks before. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 23 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. Even if your sales agreement is a simple order form, signing is still a scare word. A champion never even hints that his clients will be expected to sign anything. Instead, he asks them to, okay the paperwork, approve the form, authorize the agreement, endorse the file copies. There's a small but important item to watch when you turn your sales agreement around. Smile warmly at the client, and say, if you'll please okay the paperwork for me, I'll get your order moving right away for you. Make sure they write their name, not okay. I hope you'll invest the time necessary to own this section, because forming the habit of using terms that are truly positive in an emotional way will give you potent force in every sales situation. Appointment. In business-to-business sales, you may be able to continue using this term. However, in consumer sales, you might want to make a change. When consumers hear the word appointment, they often think of time spent with doctors, dentists, mechanics, and so on. None of those situations is necessarily a pleasant adventure. So, replace the term appointment with, meeting visit by asking for a time to meet with someone or visit with them. You sound more like someone who cares rather than an impersonal appointment situation. The term meeting put the time you spend with them on a more even footing. You meet with people to share ideas. With appointments, usually the other person is in charge. When you visit, people think of having a nice little chat, not a 2-hour sales presentation. Now, if your presentation does take 2 hours, you are obligated to let the potential client know that's how long you expect to be with them before closing them on the time. However, you'll find you get farther into conversations with people about arranging meetings and visits before bringing up the amount of time required. The triad concept, how to multiply your effectiveness. Many of us have one sales message. Because it is successful with some of our prospects, we overlook the fact that our single message falls flat with the rest of them. Let us suppose that your basic presentation takes about 5 minutes. Of course, you vary it slightly to fit each prospect's situation, but basically, you give the same presentation in the same copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 24 How to Master the Art of Selling Tom Hopkins Way to Everyone. The style that you always use might be described as brisk, businesslike, and pleasant. Very good. You've chosen a style that's effective between 30 and 60% of the time. Effective in the sense that it'll allow you to make the sale if everything else is right. Now let's go after the other 40 to 70% who are turned off by brisk, businesslike, and pleasant types with their shiny shoes and cheerful smiles. Wait a minute, you might be thinking at this point, wild-eyed funny folks don't buy my product. I work with substantial people only. Maybe so, but some of those substantial people have been talking to brisk, businesslike, and pleasant types several hours a day for 20 years, and now they've got combat fatigue. They feel like shooting themselves in the foot to get away from the front lines every time another salesperson exuding the standard manner comes through their door. So, they send distress signals, tell jokes or sad stories, and hope that their message is heard and understood. Please do something different. It rarely is. The average salesman has his signal receiving antenna raised high every time he goes in for any kind of a sales interview, though he doesn't hear much besides static because he's thinking too intently about himself and what he's going to say. So he misses the message, plods doggedly ahead with his standard presentation, and soon is trudging away without the order. The champion also has his antenna up. The message to him comes through loud and clear because he's giving all his attention to the prospect. He knows what he's there to say much too well to give any thought to it when he's face to face with opportunity. In fact, the champion knows 3 versions of what he's there to say. Having his mind clear, the champion easily gets the message, goes with the version of his presentation that best fits this prospect's attitude, and soon is flying away with the order safely tucked in his briefcase. Be a champion. Use the triad concept. Design and practice 3 variations of every aspect of your selling sequence. You may be varying your approach to some degree now, but you'll enormously increase your ability to fit your words and actions to each prospect if you'll consciously work at creating triple-headed responses. Let me explain further, because I'm not simply telling you to devise 3 answers to every objection, although that's certainly not a bad goal. I'm recommending that you practice 3 ways of phrasing every good answer that you have to each objection. One phrasing might be slangy or homespun, another might be lofty or long-worded, and one should be clearly stated in standard English. The triad concept doesn't stop here. Each of those 3 phrasings of the single answer can be said fast, at medium speed, or slowly. You can speak softly, in normal tones, or loudly. Your attitude can be subdued, friendly, or somewhat forceful. That's 81 variations on a copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 25 How to Master the Art of Selling Tom Hopkins Single Answer to an Objection. 3x3x3x3 equals 81. When you apply this idea to every aspect of your selling sequence, you'll quickly develop such a huge inventory of responses that finding the perfect fit for every prospect will be easy. Perfect in the sense that if there's any way the sale can be made, you'll make it. Start with your basic presentation and devise 3 variations. Here's one set of possibilities: 1. Casual, relaxed, and alert. 2. Brisk, businesslike, and pleasant. 3. Intense, candid, and personal for the large number of people who automatically fend off company parrots, and work only with fellow human beings on an intimate one-to-one basis that recognizes their individuality. The above are variations of emotional focus. Now let's look at content. Again, it's easy to think in terms of 3. 1. Technical. This treatment puts heavy emphasis on the technological innovations your product has. Explore tax aspects and cost effectiveness if these apply. Appeal to the emotions in very business-like terms. 2. Even mix a moderately technical approach that uses strong appeals to emotion made in standard English. 3. Gut level. A straight appeal to the emotions in down-to-earth language, with only a few pinches of technical detail to salt the meat. The triad above applies to what you say. How you say it provides another great opportunity to gain sales power by being able to adapt to any situation instantly. To accomplish this, develop 3 moods of delivery. 1. Light. You can be easy without being careless, and you can be funny without getting hooked on it. I've known salespeople who'd rather get a laugh than make a sale. Do some of your laughing on the way to the bank by using humor in sales situations to further sales, not to amuse yourself. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 26 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. If humor isn't your forte now, don't worry, it'll come in time. Meanwhile, cultivate a relaxed approach that'll ease you into closing position with the more informal of your prospects who can't stand the all-business attitude. 2. Medium. A cordial, alert, matter-of-fact stance gives you the safest start with old customers who have volatile temperaments and with new prospects you don't know yet. 3. Heavy. Be prepared to talk fast and concisely in high-pressure situations. Nothing works well here except bone and muscle delivered in short, crisp sentences. No jokes, no flowery phrases, no confusing technicalities. Practice this one hard and you'll be surprised how often you'll use it, and delighted how often you'll win with it. That's the triad concept. It sounds complex, but it isn't. All you have to do is train yourself to think in terms of 3 routes to every treasure, 3 solutions for every problem, 3 chances at every opportunity. Do this and you can't fail to multiply your effectiveness, reduce your frustrations, and expand your income. The senses that sell the emotions. How many senses do you have? Sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell, intuition. Champions do their best to get as many of their senses involved as possible. Now, if you're the kind of person who's just talk, how many senses are you involving? 1 only, hearing, plus a little bit of sight. But after a while even your most interested potential clients get sick of looking at you. That's why the champion operates on this theory, and it's one you should highlight. The more senses you involve, the better your odds of making the sale. Throughout this book, you'll find techniques to help you involve more of your prospects' senses in the service or product that you're offering. In this connection, let me tell you about one of the champions I've had the privilege of training. This young man quickly became number 1 in residential resales in his state. You're familiar with the real estate open house flags and arrow signs on strategic corners to guide people to a house that's for sale. And, of course, a salesperson is there to help people get happily involved in that or another housing unit in the area. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 27 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins. As soon as he had committed himself to pushing his volume far above average performance, this young man decided to review his entire selling sequence, starting from the basics. So he asked himself, what is the lowest common factor that's always been present in every sale I've made so far? After quite a bit of analysis and thought, he realized it was that they became excited about the home emotionally, and then they worked out the necessary details in their heads and on paper so that they could own it. Once he began looking for it, he soon learned to recognize the emotional involvement even with people who habitually concealed their feelings. So, he set about determining how to reach their emotions sooner and better. When people in light summer clothing walked into his open houses and found a small fire merrily blazing, a look of amazement would appear on their faces. That's when he'd warmly smile as if to agree with them and say, "Are you wondering why I have a fire going in this weather? Aren't the odds good that they'll answer and break the ice?" Then he says, "Let me explain. I want to do my best to help everyone coming in here experience the emotions of all 4 seasons. My wife and I really enjoy a crackling warm fire in the fireplace on a cold winter night, don't you? Is that involvement? Will they remember that home? Will they remember him? Yes, on all 3. Of course he didn't charge into his open house an hour late carrying an armload of wet stinkwood and a quart of diesel sludge to make it burn. With a little research in his fireplace at home, he learned how to build small fires that keep going the whole afternoon with little attention and give off delightful woodsy aromas the entire time. But he didn't stop there in his campaign to happily involve all of his prospects' senses. After selecting a few tapes of mood music, he acquired a portable player he could take to open houses. In their kitchens he always pulled the old vanilla trick, baked a few drops in the oven, to fill that part of the house with a pleasant scent that evokes images of warmth, shelter, and good home cooking. He paid attention to how each room could best be lighted. In every house he looked for unique ways to appeal to prospective buyers through all their senses. What did he achieve by bringing that high level of personal involvement to his selling opportunities? He immediately began connecting with a higher percentage of the people who came through his open houses because they saw that he was different, bright, and concerned. He didn't have to tell them that, they saw it for themselves. Outstanding performance on open houses. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 28 How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins brought him the surge of referral business that vaulted him to the top in his state in prestige, earning power, and personal satisfaction. He did it by using all his clients' senses to eliminate that powerful emotion called fear, and to create instead a galaxy of positive emotions that would draw them into happy involvement through him rather than through another agent. What he did and does is the very essence of what the champion salesperson does. He makes use of every constructive and warm feeling that he can to bring his clients along with him emotionally until they say, "I want it, I want it, I want it." Read the entire book How to Master the Art of Selling. Tom Hopkins' book, How to Master the Art of Selling, is on my personal list of life-changing, favorite sales books. Harvey Mackay, author of Swim with the Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive. I just inherited a 1980s edition of Tom's How to Master the Art of Selling and am amazed at how relevant this book still is in today's market. Thank you, Tom, for writing a truly incredible book on this subject matter. Christopher Todd Ross questions. Contact Tom Hopkins International at info@tomhopkins.com or by calling 480-949-0786 weekdays. Copyright 2005 Tom Hopkins International, Inc. 29.